Welcome everyone to the Ultra Branded Masterclass. I'm really excited to be here today because we're going to talk about something very special. It's about how you can position yourself as an expert in your space and giving you the tools to skyrocket your business and your brand. So let's get started. Okay, a little bit about me. I basically help companies to grow their business and their brands through the power of storytelling. You can learn more about me at indhran.com. Here are some of my clients. As you can see, they also include healthcare companies as well. And these are some of the platforms that I have been lucky enough to be featured on. What do? I basically double, triple, and even 10x revenue of companies to multiple millions. And here's an example of how I did just that for a company. I grew their business 10 times. It's a testimonial on my LinkedIn. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll give you my details later at the end of this masterclass so we can stay connected. And you can actually ask me any questions that you want about how to build your brand, how to increase your revenue, and how to move forward with your practice. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to talk about being an M-shaped dentist in this masterclass. And you're probably wondering, why should I even care? What's the difference between an M-shaped dentist and a normal dentist? Right, we're going to cover all of that. And the reason why you need to be an M-shaped dentist in 2023 is because of this. Say, in 2022, in November, OpenAI released ChatGPT. And it's got adoption rates that is never seen before, right? For example, Spotify, it took 150 days from the launch to getting 1 million users. Instagram took 75 days. ChatGPT, 5 days, okay? So that is pretty damn amazing, I would say. I want to talk to you about this concept of democratization. It's really important for you to understand how technology is impacting your business and your brand. Now, the best way for me to explain this is with Mrs. Elizabeth Billington, right? The case study of Mrs. Billington, the greatest English soprano who ever lived. And not only was she a beautiful singer, she also had a great business brain. And she negotiated with the different opera houses to get the highest amount of money for her performances. And in 1801, she actually earned 10,000 pounds, which today works out to 1 million US dollars, which is absolutely amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. She earned so much of money and she retired with a net worth of 65,000 pounds, which is roughly $6.5 million today. Great. Now, let's compare that performance with Rihanna, who is the richest female musician alive, who has a net worth of $1.7 billion and earns 70 million any given year. Now, both very talented, very shrewd and smart business women. Only difference, they live 220 years apart. What's the biggest difference in earnings? Why would Rihanna be able to earn 70 times more in earnings and have a net worth of 260 times more than Mrs. Billington? Well, something actually happened in 1877 that actually changed the way music was performed. Okay? You see, before 1877, people only had these four options. Number one, you pay top dollar to see a great performance like Mrs. Billington. And that meant you would have to even go to London if you were not living in London, right? If you didn't want to do that, then you would probably listen to somebody who is half good somewhere else, right? Which nearby to you, or you learn to sing yourself and entertain yourself, or forget about music completely and just focus on something else, right? So these four options were all what people had, and most of them went for option number two, which meant that there were a lot of half good performers playing all over the UK and really all over the world, really, right? Now, in 1877, Thomas Edison invented the phonograph. That's right, the phonograph. And that phonograph basically was all over the world over time. right? Because Edison had this concept of saying, I want a phonograph in every home around the world. So through his ads, through his marketing, through his promotion, General Electric, his company, pushed the phonograph throughout the world. Now, a funny thing happened, right? Music became democratized, meaning that the phonograph allowed great performers, right, to put their music onto records and the whole world began to listen, which is great, right? Performers would be able to do that. But not every performer was able to do that. And the phonograph slowly started to kill off most of the average performers, right? So the average performers was getting killed off, and for good reason. Why should anyone, need to listen to a half good performance when I can listen to the very best on this phonograph, right? So we can see here that technology does create abundance, but it's usually unequally distributed. So today you have the market for music, which is bigger than ever. But because music has been democratized, the superstars are the ones who get most of it. So if you look at, for example, before 1877, you would have a graph which looks something like this, whereby you have the top performers like Mrs. Billington right up here, and then you've got the lesser known performers, and then you've got the average people, right? So this would be considered a long tail. After 77, it became a short tail, meaning that all these average performers suddenly had to find new jobs because people were just not so keen to listen to their quality of music anymore. And the ones who performed very well, they started getting a lot of money, primarily through people buying their records, and people coming to see their performances. They became a lot more famous, and people used to visit their shows and pay a lot more top dollar for their shows, right? So that's how it happened after 1877 in the era that we are today. But you can see it's not just in music, it's also in sports, where you've got a lot of money, but it's the superstars like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and all the big brand names that we hear in the sports industry. These people are the ones who make all the money. So clearly, the phonograph was a game changer in 1877, but it was not the only game changer. You see, throughout history, we've had a long line of disruptors, right? From the printing press in 1436 to the personal computer, right? The personal computer revolution, the PC revolution that started in the 80s. Now, I'm going to share with you this graph, which I think will be helpful for you to understand how technology has evolved and how the disruptions it's created has created wealth and made people rich and also made people poor, right? So let's start with 2 million years ago, 2 million BC, we've got the transforming of materials. So you've got the stone tools, which eventually went to bronze tools and went to iron tools. So in this time, anybody who had bronze tools, right, were able to defeat the tribes that had bronze tools. When they went to war, they would defeat people with the stone tools, right? So we had a lot of winners and losers each time. Okay, then we went from the transforming material age, we went to the transforming energy age. Okay, so with transforming of energy, we moved from water power to steam power to electric power to combustion, the internal combustion engine, which is the cars we drive today. So obviously, at each of these sectors and each of these segments, there were winners and there were losers, people who could adapt and people who were not able to adapt, right? And then we moved into the knowledge age, right? Where most of us are thinking that we are in, but actually we're not. We are in another age now, right? In November 22, when ChatGPT was released, we officially entered the intelligence age, and that is a completely different game here. Right? So let me explain to you about people who cannot keep up with the game. So GE is one classic example of a company that was an absolute star and icon. Thomas Edison's company. He invented the electric bulb. All the inventions that we know of today that we are so proud of and that help us were actually invented in GE's labs. But where is GE today, right? GE is no longer on an icon that it used to be. It's not on the S&P 500 list that they use to recognize companies, right? So it slipped and slipped and slipped out of the picture. GE is scrambling. They recognize that they need to be need to have AI in their technology, and they're buying companies that have AI technology. I don't know what's the future for GE. I'm sure GE is still going to be around, but the way GE used to be and the way GE is now is completely different. So who are the new players? Well, the new players are the ones that are in the intelligence age, and there are many, many, many more unicorns that are going to be coming up in the next couple of months and couple of years that are going to outshine all the rest of it. But what is the biggest difference between the information age and the intelligence age? Well, the information age was driven by algorithms. As you know, algorithms are recipes, preset recipes, right? That have been designed by developers, designed by IT people who get executed. So, for example, we're talking about your Google. Google has got algorithms on its search engine, which has been designed to actually be triggered when a particular response is given. Okay. Now, the intelligence age is algorithms that are able to create new algorithms or modify existing ones in response to learned data and inputs, right? So this is clearly a more intelligent, almost human-like type of adaptability. So we're talking about cars versus flying cars, right? Imagine if your car tomorrow developed wings and was able to fly. What would you be able to do with it? Today, we're already at that stage, right? So clearly, AI is a game changer, and AI is something that you pay attention to. And I'm going to explain to you in a case study down the road why AI is so relevant to you today and why you should pay attention to it, especially if you're a dentist. Okay, AI, ChatGPT is not the only one. There's Google Bard, there's many, many other language models, AI-driven models that are just waiting in the wings. There are many more in China. They're just waiting in the wings to be launched over the next few months and over the next coming years. Now, I am recording this masterclass in February of 2023, right? So you can see just in the last few months, in the last 4 months since ChatGPT has been released, there's been so much of hype and activity and so much of transformation that's already happened. So imagine what's going to happen in the following months and following years. One big difference is that your outputs, the outputs that you have based on your average and your traditional thinking will become worthless, right? Why? Because your competitors are using those exact same tools, right? And presenting those exact same insights to your clients, your partners, your patients, or whatever else, right? So AI is basically what's happening is it's democratized talent, right? And it's happening not just in your space, it's happening all over the world, right? So average dentists will become invisible. If they are not already invisible, they will become invisible. You cannot be average. You have to be above average or excellent, right? So if you're a dentist who just has been focusing on your craft and your first class honors, you're really, really good at what you do and the tools that you work with, right? But you're not able to tell a competent story. You're not able to build a story with your brain. You're not able to build relationships and network, with other dentists and collaborate and create new value. Then you will quickly become invisible. And this is absolutely a fact, right? And even today, right? Forget about AI, just on Google, you are no longer who you said you are. You are who Google says you are. If you don't believe me, just pause this masterclass, Google your full name on your phone. Just Google your full name and see what you come up with. Clearly, right, for most people, what Google says is different from what they would like Google to say about them. Okay, so your brand today is just not who you say you are. It's an indication of your online visibility and how people around you, your stakeholders, your partners, your fellow dentists, and obviously your patients, people who are actually coming to your practice, how they value you. Okay? So this is a clear thing where The AI is basically saying something and you are saying something else on your website or in your materials, right? And I'm going to talk to you about a case study that shows exactly this. So this case study is a Singaporean-based case study, but I'm sure it is also relevant to you wherever you are in the world. It's exactly the same thing. Now, I put into ChatGPT a request, a prompt that I wanted a dentist who could do a particular complex restoration for me. Okay. And these are the 5 answers that I got. Number 1, specialist dental group. Number 2, Nuffield Dental. Number 3, T32. Number 4, Neo Smiles. Number 5, Smile Focus. Let's focus on specialist dental group. I want you to focus on that, right? SDG. Now I asked the same question again in a different way to the AI, and the AI gave me the exact same answer for number 1, right? Specialist dental group comes up as number 1. Clearly, the AI thinks the specialist dental group has got the right equipment, and the dentist and the staff in there are competent enough to be able to do complex dental restorations, right? I also got number 2, Orchard Scots. I got International Dental Clinic as number 3, number 4, the Dental Studio, and number 5, Smile Inc. Now, I went to Specialist Dental Group's website, and here's what you see. They talk about how amazing their patient experience is, right? They talk about painless dental. If you're nervous, don't worry. We're going to keep you smiling. Okay. So I said, okay, let me go back to ChatGPT and ask about, about this aspect of dental care. So I said, I'm nervous about the whole thing. I want something that's very painless. Can you help me? Ta-da! Here's the answer. Number 1, not specialist dental group. Number 2, not specialist dental group. Number 3, number 4, and number 5 was not specialist dental group. In fact, I got Q&M. So Q&M, I asked the question in another way, which dentist in Singapore has the most comfortable dental chair, for example, right? And I got the answer, number 2, Q&M. So clearly Q&M is the star in this particular one. And all the other ones, there was no mention of specialist dental group. So if I were a patient, right, I would get the idea that specialist dental group has got the technical expertise, but they do not have the dentists there don't have good bedside manners. They don't treat their patients very well. They don't make me feel comfortable. I should be nervous when I go and see them because they are really, really good technically, but they don't have the human skills to get that, which is what the AI is trying to tell me, which I don't think is true at all. I have no connection with Specialist Dental Group. This is not an endorsement of them in any way, shape, or form. But I'm sure that they are just as good dentists as anybody else. They're just as kind. Their staff are nice and polite and the rest of it. But AI is not saying that, right? And on top of that, I asked a cheeky question. I said, who are the bad ones, right? Tell me who are the bad apples in the profession. It refused to give me an answer, right? Because the AI is programmed in this particular way. This particular language model is on trial right now, okay? Now, this is just one of many that are going to come up. And I'm sure there will be one that will tell you, if you're willing to pay the price for the service, it will tell you who are the bad apples, who are the good apples. It will connect with the dental councils of each country and tell you exactly where and who are the bad ones and what are their ratings and the rest of it. There's no doubt that I can get information like this from AI. AI is going to go out there, be my assistant and search information, sensitive information, critical information, and share it with me. Okay. So this is a really scary time. If you're a dentist who, wants to be part of the crowd, you're doing your own thing, this is a really, really scary time for you right now. Okay. Number 1, if you already have a website, you already have a practice, and you're being listed already, nobody will even probably want to visit you. If you say you have Instagram, right? Nobody will even want to visit your Instagram feed because they will rely on AI to go and do it for them, right? So AI will be doing it for them. You won't get human visitors, right? You'll get bots coming and AI-driven bots. So everyone is saying right now, okay, how can I learn about AI? How can I use AI to my advantage? The key here is actually not to use AI to your advantage, but to be used by AI, right? You want, just like that list above, you want to be in that top 5 list. You want to be mentioned. Because if I say I'm nervous and I want to also have somebody who's technically competent, I want my name to come up there. If I'm a dentist, I want my clinic to come up there. I want my practice. I want my team. I want my chain of dental clinics to come up to be there first on the list. Okay. So here's an example from somebody in the marketing industry who is getting money from ChatGPT, right? Shortly after it was launched public, they Google who is the marketing expert, and this person's name came up there, and bang, right? He's getting money, and he is now putting in his blog, I am not the best. I know so many people who are better than me, right? But I have an effective personal brand, right? I have an effective personal brand. And he says that is everything in the world. So if you want to build a personal brand, right, nobody can take that away from you. Interestingly, a brand, I mean, you can change practices, you can change hospitals, you can change healthcare institutions, right, from one to another, and you are known by that. But your personal brand stays with you throughout your life. The one investment that is a lifetime value investment, right? So, what's your strategy? Strategy is where most people are blind, right? Being one-eyed is not a bad thing at all, right? They say the one-eyed man in the land of blind is the king. So, how can you leverage this? Number one, yes, there are people who are much more successful than you, maybe. If you are the expert in your space, no problem, right? If you are the number one dentist, the most popular dentist, the most famous dentist, fine. Then you can stop this masterclass right now and you can continue being what you have been, because congratulations, you're there, right? But if you're not number one, then please continue listening, because I have got some tips, some tools, and some techniques to actually help you to be right up there. Okay. So the trick here is you don't have to be right at the top. All you have to be is just above average. That's all you have to do, because AI has got the intelligence of above average or average, right? So as long as you can add to the conversation something with some critical thinking, with some real world experience, right? With some expert experience, some real world expertise, some authority, and build some trust with the AI, you will go a long, long way. So my strategy for you is not to be the thought leader, because you're not there yet, right? But just to move above this average that's going to get slaughtered or already being slaughtered. So don't focus on being a thought leader, focus on being a thought partner. What do I mean by that? Okay, let's say in a boardroom, in a large company, you've got the CEO. So the CEO is the be all and end all, is the mover and the shaker. Everyone is looking at the CEO, right? So that's just say the thought leader. So where do you stand then? So you become a C-level executive. So maybe you are the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. So not all the time you may be speaking, but when you do speak, people do listen. Your voice is valued because you're able to add to the conversation. You may not be a leader, but you are a partner in the conversation. Okay. But you need to do this fast when you are designing your brand strategy, when you're trying to move fast, because there's a window of opportunity as ChatGPT goes from offline. As you may know or may not know, ChatGPT is using data that was a snapshot of the internet taken some time ago, right? It's not current like the way Google is. So you can actually quickly build your brand, come up with your brand position, your value proposition, and move ahead. And when ChatGPT starts to look for you, you'll be there, right, to add value to it rather than using it. You get it to use you. Okay, so start now. Imagine your competitor is branding for AI today, they will get a lot more progress than if you say start in 2024, right? So how can we get branded for AI? So I'm going to share with you, and this is where being M-shaped comes a long, long way. What is being M-shaped? Okay, so there's the hard way and there's a smart way of branding. Okay, for me to explain best to you, just say, for example, we put a monkey in a room with a bunch of bananas and 10 million US dollars. Okay, what would the monkey choose? Well, obvious answer. The monkey is going to go for the bananas, right? That's a typical question. But a better question, a billionaire question, right? Jack Ma asked a different question. He asked, why doesn't the monkey choose the money, right? And the answer that he came up with is that the monkeys choose the bananas because they don't know that money can buy a lot of bananas. And in the same way, a lot of time we're doing stuff, right? But the obvious answer is right in front of our face, but we just don't know that we could use that. So for example, the idea here now is to add value, right? Clearly, you have to add value in your practice if you want to be above average. But adding value is one way. You must do it, right? That's working hard. But where's the working smart part? Okay, what kind of value are we talking about here? And the answer is it's actually easier than adding value. It's actually creating that value if you know how, and you can do it with your brand. So let me explain what adding value is versus creating value. Okay, let's talk about adding value. Best example here. Let's take a bar of iron. Bar of iron, average value, you can buy it for $5 US. Okay. Now, if you take the bar of iron and you turn it into horseshoes, you can sell it then for $12 US. If you turn it into needles, but to turn it into needles, you need to invest in a manufacturing practice. You need to invest in some manufacturing facilities, right? That helps you to make needles. You can sell it for $3,500. So every time you add value, there's a bit of a trade-off, right? To make the horseshoes, you had to put some effort into it, right? You need a blacksmith skills, right, to do it. To make needles, you need to more than just have a skill of a blacksmith. You need, or an ironsmith. You need to have a skill plus some technology to make needles, right? Now, the difference between the bar of iron and the needles was 700 times, which is amazing, right? Just by adding value, you could actually have 700 times value. But now let's talk about creating value. Imagine creating value is about raising your prices without giving more service, right? Creating value is about perception. So let's take the same bar of iron, which costs $5, okay? You can turn it into balance springs, which cost $300,000, right? Now, to create a balance spring is not so much higher technology or manufacturing technology required than, say, making needles, right? But you can sell balance springs for a lot more than the needles because these balance springs are for luxury watches. Okay, and if you look at luxury watches, there is a great demand because people perceive luxury watches as something that is more valuable. So somebody does not buy a watch today, even a luxury watch or even any kind of watch, just to tell the time, right? If you've bought a luxury watch, right, you know that you didn't buy it just to tell the time. There were many other intangible reasons why you bought that watch. If you look at the US luxury watch market, you can see it's going up and up and up. There's a great demand for this type of product, right? A product that tells time, but also does more for the person, right? There's more value. And this is the example, not just the new market, also the second-hand market, right? So there is a great demand for this product. Value created 700 times. Sorry, value added 700 times. Value created 60,000 times. That is the difference, right? So being an M-shaped dentist, being an M-shaped brand means that you have to simultaneously add value, work hard, and create value, work smart. So what is this M-shaped dentist? And do you know that actually more than just an M-shaped person. There's an I-shaped person, there's a T-shaped person, and there's an M-shaped person. Okay. So how can you, what's the difference? Let me explain. So an I-shaped person, it looks like an eye. So basically you have got your dental skills and you've got your dental knowledge. Basically, it's the stuff that you learned at dental school. It's the stuff that you learned at university. It's the stuff that right now your profession is teaching you, right? It's what, when you go for conferences and stuff like that, and you get specialized into a particular area of dentistry, bang, all of this, right? The more specialized you are, the deeper you go. But basically, you're still an eye, right? So what from eye, then you transition to a T-shaped dentist. What is a T-shaped dentist? A T-shaped dentist has got on one wing created value. On the other wing, you've got added value. So here are the technical stuff. Here is where you spend time to perfect your craft, to learn more about project management, change management, become a better dentist, become a better business person, right? Upgrade. On this side here, you create perceived value, right? You talk about patient experience. You talk about your brand, your storytelling, your thought leadership when you're speaking at conferences, and people think, wow, a larger than life personality that you build, right? And you partner with the right brands, the right individuals, you partner with the right associations, you become part of different groups and movements that set you apart from the average dentists that are out there. Okay. So the M-shaped dentist is actually going deep in two parts. So for example, here you go deep in one area called patient experience. So you really, when people walk away from your clinic, people walk away from your practice, they have got a completely different experience that they cannot get anywhere else, right? This allows you to charge more as well, and there'll be a queue of people waiting for you. A queue of people waiting for you, not because there are not enough dentists in your space, but because they choose to come to you because of something that you have that's different from everybody else. You have a unique signature, a unique fingerprint, right? This is on this side. And you create that perceived value, right? Here, you build on the potential value, whatever that you can create, right? So you learn, you invest in the latest imaging technology, you invest in data, in AI, you learn about AI, you learn about how AI assisted dentistry can help you, and blah, 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 right? So you become really good at this, and obviously you cannot ignore your craft. The reason why you became a dentist in the first place, the reason why people come to you, right, is for your technical skills. So this M-shaped dentist is the way forward in 2023. You've got a small window of opportunity before other people get in there. And this is your chance to build your brand. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for attending the masterclass. If you want to contact me, well, it's Indhran at Indhran.com. Indhran@indhran.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. I wish you all the best and good luck. I hope you enjoyed this masterclass and you found this information valuable. If you need to have any clarifications or whatever, feel free to contact me, connect with me. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day ahead.